Hello everyone, welcome back to OCD Recovery's YouTube channel. Today I'm doing a video in a field that I like by my house, which has the minor league baseball stadium right there. And then if you could see in the background, I can't flip the camera around, but that's Pikes Peak right there. So that's the whole front range right there. And then that mountain's 14,115 feet. I've driven up there quite a bit. I've hiked it once. I think I'm gonna hike it again in a week actually. So it's just a great place to be. Let me just see if I can. Oh yeah, you could definitely see it in this video. It's interesting with these videos and with these mountains, because every time we take videos and send them to people, they really just don't do it justice. So today I want to talk about the importance of accepting the OCD journey as an entire journey and not just trying to accept what your current fear is at the time. So I'm actually gonna walk and talk in this video. So as many of you know, I had tinnitus before I had somatic OCD. Now, I have pretty much completely recovered from somatic OCD. It has no effect on my life whatsoever. It doesn't scare me. There's no fear attached to it. So, and as we know, the fear is the number one driving thing in the OCD recovery cycle. So once the fear comes down and there's nothing there to fear, there's nothing for OCD to latch onto. So let's see it one more time. Yeah, there it is. So I wanted to talk about my newer, it's not really a new thing, but it's just something I really didn't address. And this is something that Hannah told me about. She probably doesn't remember this, a long time ago in the beginning parts of the journey. So what tends to happen is when something is in the forefront of your mind, not with everyone, but with many people, there's other things that will need to be worked on that don't really rear its ugly head until you're a little bit further along in the recovery journey. So as many people know, I have dealt with severe body dysmorphia for the better part of 2 decades. So, and it's always kind of been like there, but it didn't really latch until kind of recently. It's tried to latch before, but it kind of locked on full force when I hit around almost, whatever the 18-month mark for my somatic OCD recovery journey. And OCD and BDD, body dysmorphic disorder, run pretty much, they can coincide with each other very easily, but that's not actually important because a lot of people will look for a body dysmorphic disorder diagnosis, or they'll think if it's OCD. Body dysmorphia and OCD are basically the same thing. They're both obsessions about certain things, but your body dysmorphia fears are based around your body, while maybe OCD might be based around harming your child, for an example. But they're both recovered in the same exact way, so you actually don't need a correct diagnosis, whether you have BDD or OCD. So I kind of wanted to get that off the bat. So I wanted to talk about some of the things that are happening in my journey now, and then how are some of the ways I'm dealing with it. I'm going to kind of move behind my car just because the wind's a little bad out here in Colorado sometimes. So it's funny, if you take away Colorado Springs and you look at this right here, this is literally Colorado. Like, it's just desert. So there's lots of there's probably cactuses in there. I mean, there's cactuses everywhere. And they just built these apartment complexes next to my house. I don't think the people in my neighborhood are too happy about it because of they're blocking the mountain views. So what I would do is, for the last 10 years, is I would change my workout routine very compulsively around 3 to 4 weeks. I would not like the way I was looking, and it didn't matter. What I try and tell people, you're never going to get to prove yourself wrong with any type of mental disorder, such as OCD, PTSD, GAD. You're not going to be able to prove it's real or not. And what do I mean by that? I thought that if I just reached my goals, it would just go away. Well, that's not true, because that's trying to prove to myself. Now, you can have a preference of what you want to look like. Like, I want to be muscular. I want to be able to hike. I want to be able to move around without being in pain. But these preferences are very much high demands, and they still are in a lot of ways. And it just goes to show you, because I kind of had like one of the toughest relapses of my life in the last 2 weeks, and it's just progressively gotten worse. And this is why it's important to look at what moderators are saying, or talk to people in the community that are also in the journey. So I've helped Paul Little a lot, but he made a post last night that I realized, I said, wow, that's what I've been doing with my body dysmorphic stuff. It's really latched, and I've been trying to get myself out of it as fast as possible. And that's just really not working out for me too well, because it's keeping me more latched. So the big compulsions for me, and the big compulsions with all OCD or BDD or PTSD or GAD, is trying to escape the way you're feeling right now, which is the opposite of acceptance, and trying to agree with the thoughts we know doesn't work. There's a great video by Kirsty called Agreement versus Acceptance. I've done one too, but I personally like Kirsty's a little bit better. She does a very elegant job at explaining it. She's very, very good at that. And I thank you for that if you watch this video. So, I would change my workout routines every 3 to 4 weeks, and then, I would actually counterintuitively stop all progress of being able to do. So imagine you're trying to start a business and you change your business model every 3 weeks. You're not going to really be successful. So you have to go through periods of time where you're trying to stick it out and you're not seeing the results that you want to see. And even if you don't ever see the results, it still isn't the end of the world. Now, when it comes to bodybuilding, there's a high correlation between bodybuilders or fitness people and body dysmorphic disorder and subclinical body dysmorphia. The reason is because they really accept themselves on a conditional basis. I was having a conversation with a friend in the gym the other day, and I kind of saw myself through him. It was kind of a surreal epiphany moment. And he's awesome, a lot of great characteristics. And he was saying that, he's like, hey man, like, you think I look okay? Like, I don't look small, right? And I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, holy fucking shit. Like, this is infiltrated everywhere. It's a really, really unfortunate thing. So, now what I used to do is I would only lift weights. Now I'd be so afraid of doing cardio. I'd be so afraid of hiking. I would be definitely afraid of if someone was like, hey, you want to go for a bike ride? I would be like, no, I can't do that. It's going to fuck my progress up. And then all these other little things that really kept me in this perfectionistic cycle, which I still struggle with severely. But now that somatic OCD is not a factor in my life and can't ever see it being a factor in my life ever again, because I understand what was keeping me stuck, which is the fear of being stuck forever. I haven't quite seen through this illusion yet. And it's just another part of the journey. It's something that we all have to go through. And it's important to talk about this because a lot of people don't actually hear from me when, I tend to really hide my bad days, and I tend to be what I like to call, my friend likes to call, a compulsive savior complex. So I really actually like that terminology because it really is true. I tend to really want to help people. If I'm not feeling good, I'll go out and make a Facebook post and help people and do all these things and forget about my own recovery journey, realizing that I'm right there with you guys, and I have obsessive compulsive disorder too, body dysmorphic disorder, and GAD. So, and all those things are part of who I am, and all those things can be recovered from. But, when you're dealing with one particular fear, and you might have multiple fears popping up and down, and there's all sorts of different, terminologies that you could describe the journey and how we all will struggle with different things. But when you have a major fear that you kind of been putting on the back burner, because I used to think, well, if I just handle my somatic OCD, then the body dysmorphic stuff will just fade into the background and it won't bother me anymore. Well, that's not true, because it's been there for almost 20 years, as long as I can remember, and it's really limited my life in so many ways. It's kind of a sad thing to realize when you actually look at it, but there's nothing I can do about that, so I don't dwell on that. I'm really good at not really dwelling on the past. I kind of live more in the moment and think about the future being a business owner, so which can have its own problems per se, because as many of you I think mindfulness and meditation and stuff like that is important, but I think that there's more to life than just the current moment in some scenarios. So, but back to what I was saying. So the body dysmorphic stuff really, really, really latched. And let me give you some of the stuff that I've been dealing with. So, I counted my macros for 10 years. Macronutrients, which is protein, carbs, and fat. So I used paper and pen, but I didn't use MyFitnessPal, which is a big tracking app. And I would kind of use that as like a safety net. So if I wanted to eat really garbage, I could just track my macros, because as many of you may know that the number one reason why the only real reason why you lose and gain weight is a calorie deficit or surplus. It has nothing to do with the quality of food you're eating, not to the degree that many people believe. If you're eating less than you burn, you are going to lose weight. If you're eating more than you burn, you're going to gain weight. Anyone who understands evidence-based fat loss understands this. So, but this is a huge problem, because I was kind of relying on that to keep me in this like layaway period of needing to have certainty on the way I was looking. So I would kind of use it as a crutch. And then what I would do is I said I would change my workout routine every 3 to 4 weeks. Anytime I felt some discomfort, I would just compulsively change. That's something I used to do a lot. I've gotten really good with that in other areas of my life. I'm almost 6 months sober from something I was really addicted to for quite some time. I'm at 156 days, and I've kind of been tracking my, how long has it been since I haven't compulsively changed my workout program, because that's my biggest compulsion. I also had other little compulsions too, like not finishing certain stuff in the gym that I didn't enjoy. And while this all may seem really trivial, but it doesn't seem trivial to me, because it makes it feel as real as it can get. So let me give you an example. So currently, my brain has been telling me that if there's no point in working out, then there's no point in eating, so you might as well never eat again. And that sounds really ridiculous to the untrained eye, but it's actually quite scary to the OCD sufferer, because I have a belief that I could just never eat again and never drink again, which has kind of been latching, which is an unfortunate fear to have to deal with. But it's not the end of the world. The real reason why I did this video, and it's not like any of the other videos, is I want to show you what the reality of OCD is like when you're having a severe setback or a severe backdoor spike, or a new theme is latched. It's very hard for people who don't have OCD to understand what we go through, and that's completely okay, because we have each other in the community and we can help other people try and understand, but we can't force them to. So I was having a conversation with someone, and they were asking me about, well, if I'm telling them, this is how OCD works, sometimes you have other dormant fears that kind of are just dormant, and it takes a little bit of time, maybe it takes a couple of years to really see them before, they start actually latching. So when you look at Hannah, Hannah dealt with POCD before ROCD. So she, I think, was chronically suffering for 5 years. I think Momin was chronically suffering for 6 to 7 years. And I know Sophie was suffering for 15 years. So a lot of us have suffered for an extended period of time. So what I like to remind myself is I've gotten through this far, so I can definitely handle more suffering. It's not that I can't handle it. But there's no reason to not try and reach your goals. You just have to do it in a balanced manner. So for myself, let's say some of the stuff that I have to work on balance, eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner. A lot of times I would force myself to eat because I would believe that, I needed to eat to, not lose muscle and stuff like that. And the reality is you want to have a diet, a healthy diet, and be balanced, but you don't have to be crazy about it. And you could be disappointed about it if you miss meals and stuff like that, or if you go out for dinner and you wake up and you're a little bit more bloated if you have a problem with this type of stuff like I do. So, it can be a really, really, really big problem that a lot of people don't want to talk about. So that's kind of what's been going on with me. This is definitely what seems, as it always does, one of the toughest regions of my recovery journey, as many as you know, and that's what OCD does. You can make great progress. I was feeling great for the last 6 months. It still was kind of lingering in the background, but I was doing everything I wanted to do, and I'm still doing everything I want to do. I'm still working. I still have 8 patients today, or whatever it is. I don't know if it's 8, maybe 7. So I still am working. I'm still doing things and hanging out with my wife while I'm trying to bring this on for the ride. And I think that's really important to talk about, because a lot of people just want to make it seem that OCD recovery is very linear and straightforward. And as I've talked about in many of my videos and talked with many people, it's unfortunately not that way. And, it's really, let's go look at the mountains again. Oh my God. I love climbing that thing. It's so ridiculously awesome and really, really tough. So, but yeah, that's what I want to talk about today. So please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll be doing a couple more videos like this. I think it's important to make videos for myself. It's very easy to be like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to make videos, especially since I enjoy making videos. I'm going to step away from OCD recovery. And I actually don't think that's the best option. It needs to be balanced even when you're suffering, because if you weren't suffering, or the idea of suffering, you still would be doing, I would be doing what I'm doing. So, and working with Rob as a side business, which hopefully one day will become a full business, because I really do enjoy doing this stuff. But yeah, so when you're having a setback or a relapse, you don't have to change much. Just keep doing what you're doing and keep working on it day by day, peeling layers like an onion, like Rob says, and then go from there. So I'll show the video one more time. So, like I said, that's Pikes Peak. And then over there, so if you have Pikes Peak, and then you have what's called Mount Garfield, and then Dora Rosa, and then NORAD, which is the nuclear base right there. So this is the whole entire Front Range. But these mountains go for, 2,500 miles, 3,000 miles. They go for a really long time. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoy and have a great day.